Window World, simply the best for less.
Tonight, not again. This time, 2 storms hitting tonight on both coasts and already turning deadly. The dangerous commutes, the ice, snow, and rain, the pileup on an icy highway. Alerts at this hour from D.C. to Philly to New York. And in the west tonight, evacuations underway right now. Heavy rain, high winds expected. Ginger Z with the new track on both storms. The White House tonight, will the special counsel Robert Mueller soon be questioning President Trump? What we've learned tonight. Growing concern this evening amid the deadly flu outbreak in this country. Tents set up in the west, emergency rooms packed across the country. Where it's hitting hardest and how effective is the flu vaccine? And should you still get it if you haven't already? What surprised us today about that? The urgent manhunt at this hour for a suspect. The deputy killed responding to a 911 call, a married father of 3. And tonight, is Oprah running in 2020? What her longtime partner Stedman Graham reportedly said overnight, it's making news tonight.
This is ABC World News Tonight with David Muir.
Good evening, and it's great to start another week with you. What's not great are the 2 storms hitting both coasts at this hour. There is real fear in California tonight about what could come in the hours ahead. And in the east, a deadly commute already. All of this as travel coast to coast is still trying to recover from the storm last week. That eastern storm starting in the Midwest, cars sliding on icy roads in Springfield, Missouri. And look at this today, a 35-car pileup on I-75 in North Georgia today. And at New York's JFK Airport tonight, take a look at this image. Luggage still piled up from the storm. As I mentioned, in the west, people frantically filling sandbags at this hour as the first major rainstorm in nearly a year now bears down after those wildfires wiped away brush, hardly anything to keep those hillsides from coming down. We have it all covered tonight, and we begin with ABC's David Curley on the dangerous commute.
The frigid temperatures are tonight turning roads into rinks. One killed in a 4-car crash this morning in Georgia. And in Tennessee,
boom! Did you miss him?
On an overpass, workers watch as cars bounce off barriers and other vehicles. The new storm moving to the east, keeping a bitter cold grip on much of the country. Already, airlines are offering waivers for passengers, hoping to avoid the deep freeze. Those freezing cold temperatures burst a water pipe in the main international terminal Sunday at JFK. 3 inches of water on the ground, capping 4 days of misery for passengers.
Nobody can tell me, and nobody wants to give me an answer because they'll know they'll be wrong.
Lily, hoping to travel Friday, just boarded late today. There is a sea of bags here. Matt Stein arrived late Friday, sat on the tarmac for nearly 8 hours, and just got his bag today.
There are people who have been here for almost 4 days who haven't slept, who haven't gone to a hotel, and who are still trying to find their luggage.
While the water pipe break was a problem, an aviation source tells ABC News that many airlines tried to make up for lost flights during the weekend, run a regular schedule as well, therefore some doubling arrivals, and there just weren't enough gates to handle it all.
And David Curley with us from JFK Airport tonight. And David, with this newest system hitting the Northeast tonight, all of these New York airports are still dealing with the ripple effect from the bomb cyclone that hit last week.
It's making it very hard for these airlines to recover, David. Half of all the cancellations today were at New York's 3 major airports, and the cold grip continues.
David Curley leading us off tonight. David, thank you. And as I mentioned here, the first major winter storm striking fear in California at this hour as well. Thousands now under mandatory evacuations, major rain and high winds expected tonight. And part of the reason there's so much concern is this right here. Some of those same areas still recovering from the disastrous wildfires, the scorched earth, mudslides, nothing to keep the hillsides from coming apart. They do fear a torrent of mud in the hours to come. Let's get right to Chief Meteorologist Ginger Z tonight. She's tracking both storms. We're going to start in the east because we're in the middle of it right now.
In the middle of it, and freezing rain in patches, kind of those ice rinks turn into roads. That could be happening at this hour. So I want to take you to South Jersey, Vineland to Atlantic City, over to the suburbs around Baltimore. That's where you see pink on the radar. That's a problem. This will all move out in the next couple of hours. We can say goodbye and finally thaw out. A place like Raleigh, North Carolina has gone 200 hours sub-freezing. So they haven't seen above freezing this year. They finally did it today, but that smashed an old record back in 1982. And finally, David, you pointed this out, and it's so important. 1 to 1.5 inch rainfall rates per hour could cause debris flows and mudslides, especially early tomorrow morning, and will affect travel. Some of the wind gusts up to 70 miles per hour.
All right, tracking it into the night. Ginger, our thanks to you as well. We turn now to the White House tonight. ABC News confirming this evening that Special Counsel Robert Mueller will likely request an interview with President Trump. The president, when asked in the past if he would answer questions under oath, answering 100%. But what will his lawyers say now? Here's ABC's chief White House correspondent Jonathan Karl tonight.
As the president traveled to Nashville today to talk up his tax cut, a potentially major development in the Russia investigation. ABC News has confirmed that special counsel Robert Mueller met with the president's lawyers and told them he is likely to request an interview with the president himself. News of that December meeting was first reported by the Washington Post. In the past, the president sounded almost eager to tell Mueller his side of the story.
Would you be willing to speak under oath to give your version of those events?
100%.
So if Robert Mueller wanted to speak with you about that,
I would be glad to tell him exactly what I just told you, Joe.
He was asked about it again just this weekend.
If Robert Mueller asks you to come and speak with his committee personally, are you committed still to doing that? Do you believe
Yeah, just so you understand. Just so you understand. There's been no collusion.
But sources familiar with the discussions tell ABC News Trump's lawyers are exploring options short of a formal interview, such as providing written answers to a questionnaire. It's not clear that would be sufficient for the special counsel. This comes as the president deals with fallout from the new book, Fire and Fury, which says some of the president's own top advisors question his sanity and his intelligence. The president tweeted over the weekend, quote, "Throughout my life, my two greatest assets have been mental stability and being, like, really smart," calling himself, quote, "genius," and a very stable genius at that.
I went to the best colleges, or college. I had a situation where I was a very excellent student.
The president angrily cut ties with one of the book's main sources, former chief strategist Steve Bannon.
That's why Sloppy Steve is now looking for a job.
The book quotes Bannon eviscerating members of the president's family, even suggesting the meeting Donald Trump at Trump Tower with a Russian lawyer said to have dirt on Hillary Clinton was treasonous and unpatriotic. Bannon has now issued a partial mea culpa, writing, "Donald Trump Jr. is both a patriot and a good man." But the White House isn't satisfied with that. A spokesperson telling reporters, "I don't believe there's any way back for Mr. Bannon at this point."
All right, so let's get to John Karl live at the White House tonight. And John, as you reported there, the president defending himself against stories about his mental fitness, tweeting he is a very stable genius. He's supposed to get a physical this week, and the White House was asked if mental stability would be part of that exam.
And the answer, David, is no. He is going to Walter Reed on Friday for a physical exam, not, the White House says, a mental exam. And the doctor who will be examining him, Dr. Ronnie Jackson, has actually been a White House presidential physician for more than a decade, the same doctor who examined both President Obama and President Bush.
All right, John Karl at the White House. John, welcome back. Dangerous strain of flu spreading across the country tonight, a major spike in new cases. The flu now spreading across 46 states, hospitalizations doubling in just a week. And in hard-hit California, they are setting up tents now in some places. And tonight, this question: how effective is the flu vaccine this year? And if you haven't received the shot yet, should you still get it? How quickly does it make a difference? ABC's Kana Whitworth from California.
Tonight, hospitals overflowing, incoming flu patients doubling in the last week alone. Overcrowded hospitals forced to use tents, ER cases triaged in the hallway.
We're so busy that paramedics are spending a good amount of time in this hallway.
The outbreak deadly. 7-year-old Cisco Galvez died from the virus. His mother devastated.
I never expected it. He was very healthy.
In California, 27 people under the age of 65 have died since October, compared to just 4 last season. Nationwide, over 41,000 cases reported. Widespread flu activity in all but 4 states in the last month. Arkansas and Texas, the hardest hit.
This is, I would say, the worst flu season that I've seen.
Early reports estimated the flu vaccine as 10% effective against the deadliest strain. The CDC now estimating effectiveness at roughly 30%.
All right, so 30%. Kayna Whitworth with us live tonight from one of those overflow tents. And Kayna, as you just mentioned there, the vaccine may be 30% effective, but doctors I know are still saying you should get it, not just for you, but for the people around you. And how soon does it actually kick in?
David, every doctor I spoke with said you should absolutely get the flu shot, and it's not too late. Even though it takes a couple of weeks to kick in and be at full strength, it can still lessen the severity of your flu symptoms. David?
All right, Kayna Whitworth with us tonight from California. We turn next year to high-stakes talks set to begin between North and South Korea, the first between the warring nations in 2 years. It was just last week here we hotline. And of course, this all comes amid nuclear tensions between the U.S. and North Korea. ABC's chief global affairs anchor Martha Raddatz in Seoul tonight for us. Martha?
David, the Olympic Games may be the focus of these talks, but this could be a dramatic step in improving relations between the North and South. The setting is historic, that truce village that straddles the heavily fortified border. And of course, this comes amid the nuclear weapons standoff. Kim Jong-un likely just 1 or 2 tests away from having the ability to hit the U.S. President Trump has applauded these talks, David, and said he would be willing to talk to Kim if certain conditions are met, David.
Martha Raddatz with us tonight from Seoul. Martha, thank you. And back here at home now and to the Golden Globe Awards overnight and that new movement, Time's Up. But it was Oprah Winfrey who was the star of the show last night with her powerful and stirring speech and new questions about whether or not she'll run for president in 2020. What her longtime partner said overnight that began the headlines immediately.
Hiding the headlines that have dominated the news for months on sexual harassment in Hollywood and beyond.
Good evening, ladies and remaining gentlemen.
And throughout the night, moments of victory for women and for the new campaign, Time's Up.
Nicole Kidman!
Big Little Lies, produced by Reese Witherspoon and Nicole Kidman, winning over and over again.
Wow, the power of women.
But there were also the reminders of the progress yet to be made. Natalie Portman and Ron Howard introducing the nominees for Best Director.
And here are the all-male nominees.
And there was Oprah Winfrey, the first black woman to win the Cecil B. DeMille Lifetime Achievement Award. And she remembered watching the Oscars in 1964.
In 1964, I was a little girl sitting on the linoleum floor of my mother's house in Milwaukee, watching Anne Bancroft present the Oscar for Best Actor at the 36th Academy Award. Awards that literally made history. The winner is Sidney Poitier. And I've never seen a black man being celebrated like that. And it is not lost on me that at this moment, there are some little girls watching as I become the first black woman to be given the same award.
Oprah spoke of being inspired by the women who have felt strong enough to speak up.
So I want tonight to express gratitude to all the women who have endured years of abuse and assault because they, like my mother, had children to feed and bills to pay and dreams to pursue. They're the women whose names we'll never know. For too long, women have not been heard or believed if they dared those men, but their time is up. So I want all the girls watching here and now to know that a new day is on the horizon. When nobody ever do again. Thank you.
The LA Times overnight asking Oprah's longtime partner Stedman Graham if she'll run for president. He said it's up to the people. She would absolutely do it. Bloomberg said in a brief interview backstage, Winfrey herself was told that Oprah 2020 was circulating on Twitter and asked whether she planned to run. I don't, she said. And this is what she told.
2020, I'm wondering if you've narrowed down your short list of VP candidates.
Oh, she's lost her mind now. No, I haven't. No, I haven't.
No, it took me a minute to follow.